Mimi kazi yangu ilikuwa ni kuharibu. Hiyo 207 sisi ndio wale tulinyakua manyumba za watu.
Wengine tulikuwa tunaishi na wao, nasikia mtu ameanza kuleta ubishi, ati wewe ni Mjaluo hufai kuishi hapa, wewe ni Mkambo hufai kuishi hapa, wewe ni Mkikuyu hufai kuishi hapa.
Kulikuwa na rape cases ya watoto na kina mama. Watu wengi waliuawa na kupigwa mishale.
Tangia wakati huo naongea nikiwa na huzuni. Juu hata saa hii Kiambio sio mahali pa kukaa.
Una sehemu nyingine ukiulizwa nenda ayu, ukikosa kijuu kichwa yako inabaki hapa.
It was bad. It was bad.
Kibra is like I'd say a center where the whole nation looks at. And if something bad happens in Kibra, then it triggers violence in other areas.
Behind me is the sprawling Kibera slum, the site of many a political violent act, and many clashes indeed have been held in this slum right behind me. Now, we decided to quest after what causes this perennial issue of clashes in Nairobi. Indeed, this is the tongues of war, and as James the Apostle wrote and said, the tongue is a little member, but like a small fire in a forest, it burns the whole thing down. What are the tongues of war that bring not only Kibera, but Kenya as a whole into the brink of chaos every 5 years?
If you check what happened in the 1950s on the way to independence, there was a lot of cooking up of things to create hatred amongst the Kenyan people. You see, in the colonial times, all Africans were natives serving the colonial state, the interest. They were the same. It didn't matter whether you come or wherever you are. Oh yeah, there was no issue of tribe. You are just natives. As long as you are serving the what? The colonial state. The minute you start questioning that state and what it was doing across the country, then there was a lot of effort to remind you, no, you people are not the same. You are different. You are this, you are that one. In fact, you used to fight before we came. So create the animosity. That division, when you are fighting the colonial state, then you are tribes.
In what is now India and Pakistan, and then Bangladesh, is that the British employed their divide and rule. Some of them clearly saw that this is going to remain a very powerful, nation if it remains together. So the best thing is to divide this and tell the Muslims, there is no way you can live together with the Hindus here, okay? And the Hindus say, as long as the Muslims remain here, they'll continue to take part of your land, etc. And therefore, let them go to a land that is going to be theirs as Muslims. Unfortunately, this was also accepted by some Indians and the Pakistanis. And I think this is where they lost it. One reason why the Europeans decided to eliminate the Native Americans is because of the need to create an empire for themselves. And they couldn't do it with those people who say they own the land. So you have to dispossess them of their land. You have to disinherit them. And to do that, they had to find a way of dehumanizing the Native American.
In war, things change, or the people in charge tend to create new realities, not the ones we know.
New realities.
New realities. Because ideally, or in normal times, as a human being, you will not kill anybody.
True.
So what is it that would make you dislike or go to the extent of killing somebody or hurting somebody, which ordinarily you would not do? And the only way you can be turned into a killer or a very violent person is to be convinced that the supposed enemy is no longer human.
Yes.
So that's why they come up with things like what, cockroaches and all those things.
Yes.
And they change the rules of truth to convince or to persuade good common sense people to stop using common sense, to become insecure. So plant insecurity in the people and then blame that insecurity on the supposed enemy.
You see, the Aryan race is considered to be the purest race, especially by Germans, but really by Europeans in general. And so in order to keep your race pure, because this is what Hitler, this is the ideology now of the purity of a race. Now, you have the Jews, you have the Sinti and the Roma, you know, otherwise called the Gypsies. That's a derogatory term. And we'll come to derogatory terms, because when you use those, again, you dehumanize people.
With that historic look at the international environment and the different genocide massacres and mass extinctions of people, we must then ask ourselves, does Kenya still have the ingredients of the narratives that cause war? Are the tongues of war still active in this country?
In 1992, we experienced firsthand conflict that was inter-ethnic in nature. Come 1997 election, tension built up. Of course, the former president was declared the winner. That is Moi, and the opposition, specifically DP, said it was unfair. They would not recognize that. Now, on the ground, had a different meaning. Though politicians here...
So for politicians, they're saying
yes,
they will not accept results.
They will not accept results.
Within their political right to say.
Of course.
Yes, but on the ground.
On the ground, it turns to become the fighting ground for the ethnic... it's a fodder.
Yes.
For conflict on the ground. After 1998 conflict, we had a relative moment. 2002, we did the elections. The region was not very much affected at the time. But 2004, we had another cycle of violence. 2007 and 8, of course, we had the post-election violence, the famous.
Ni ukabila ilileta hizi stori zote. Sababu wakati tulianaunsiwa president ni nani, ndio once watu wakaanza kuwa sasa hawayuko kimoja. Hasa ukaanza kusikia wengine wanaanza ubishi na wengine tulikuwa tunaishi na wao, nasikia mtu wameanza kuleta ubishi, ati wewe ni Mjaluo hufai kuishi hapa, wewe ni Mkambo hufai kuishi hapa, wewe ni Mkikuyu hufai kuishi hapa. Hasa pale hivi kila mtu akaanza kuwa sasa yuko separate na mwingine. Hakuna amani. Ukabila already imeingia. Hasa mauaji ndio zikaanza.
Ikifika wakati wa election, watu wanasoni kulingana na tribe yako. Napata huku ni Kijaluo, huku ni Kikuyu, Kikamba, hivyo. Sana kama 2007 kisaharibika kabisa. Kulikuwa na salamu. Kuna sehemu zingine ukiulizwa wewe nango na ukosa kujibu. Kuna sehemu zingine ukiulizwa nedayu, ukikosa kujibu kichwa yako inabaki hapo. So unajua hiyo ile trend tu kidogo, sasa ile iliharibika kabisa. Vitu tulikuwa tunaona kwa TV. Mara sijui Wajaluo wamekatwa kwa gari wakienda tao. Sasa umesikia tu vita inarudi kwa kijiji hapa. Kama wewe ni Mjaluo na mnakaa na Mkikuyu, mnafukuswa. Kama wewe ni Kikuyu hapo na Wajaluo walikuwa nakaa hapo, Hapo ndio sasa vita ilianza vibaya sana.
This question of zoning the country is very dangerous. You cannot say that this is a ODM zone, or this is my bedroom, this is UDA, zone. Zoning is very dangerous because that's when now you have this otherness. People say, if you are not UDA, you don't belong here. We will not even allow you to vote, So that is very dangerous. And I would say that actually now, I have seen Kenya moving slowly towards a situation where there are no bedrooms and zones for political parties. If we leave it, if we continue this way, it is democratically a healthy way of doing our elections. And that is, to me, is what I feel as NCIC will help this country.
Now, when, for example, you are a supporter of, I'd say, Azimio or maybe Kenya Kwanza, either of the two, and you find your opponents there and they start saying that, "Ndio how," you become scared because the first thing that you look at is your ethnical background. So for me, that is a very, very scary word. And okay, it's a word that it's scary, yes, but brings a lot of, kind of like creates tension for me because you don't know what will happen with that kind of utterances.
Kama ni Muluya alikuwa na support Raila. Kama ni Mjaluo alikuwa na support Raila. Hawa watu wengine walikuwa na support Raila. Na ikawa kwanza Wakikuyu wamekaa siku nyingi. Hao ndio kila kitu Ukienda kwa umaskini, hao ndio wanajiita maskini namba 1. Ukienda kwa utajiri, hao ndio matajiri namba 1. Ukienda kwa wizi, hao ndio waizi namba 1. Mara ukifanya hivi, ukienda kwa wale wenye hawana refugee, unakuta ni Sasa ikasemekana sasa sisi tutajificha wapi? Na nyinyi ndio wenye kutuibia. Na nyinyi hamtaki mtu mwingi. Kama ni hizi nyumba tunakodesha ni zenyu. Kwa hivyo kama ni namna hiyo nyumba zenyu hatutalipa. Sasa uhasama ilianzia hapo. Sasa Wakikuyu wakasema hakuna. Kama ni hivyo mtoke kwa nyumba zetu. Ile yenye nilikuwa nakaa mwenyewe akakuja akaniambia hakuna. Afadhali nifuge kuku. Nikamuuliza hiyo kuku imekusaidia na nini? Hii miaka yote mimi nimekaa na wewe. Na kwanza hata mimi ndo nakuchukulia pesa. Nakuja nakupa, unaenda nazo. Alafu saa hizi umeniona mimi binadamu sifai, kuku ndio inafaa. Nikamwambia basi na mimi hapa haupati. Juu hii shamba saa yote tunatishiwa. Hii shamba tunaambiwa saa yote tunaweza ondolewa. Iwe usiku iwe mchana Junior Air Force. Kwa hivyo mimi na wewe kuanzia leo ploti sasa ni yangu.
We can come to Rwanda. When actually you look at these people speak the same language, they have the same culture, but at the same time they are made to believe that they are completely different. There is a superior, a group coming of Aryan race again. You have the Tutsis who actually were made to believe that they are Semitic. They are not even, Bantu.
Tulishuhudia mambo mengi mabaya, machafuko, hasa kule kwetu karibu na nyumbani, mahali kunaitwa Kiamba, ambapo kulikuwa na vita, watu wengi waliuawa kwa kuchomwa, kwa kupigwa na kupigwa mishale. Kulikuwa na rape cases ya watoto na kina mama. Mali mengi yaliibwa kama mtu unaibiwa ng'ombe. Wengi sana waliibiwa ng'ombe, vitu vya kutumia nyumbani kama TV, sola na vyombo vya nyumbani. Matusi yalikuwa, kuna majina ya Kikale ambayo huwa wanatumia kuashiria wale wengine, kabila lile lingine. Kama for example ukisema kama mama, hiyo obvious unaelewa ni kwa Wakikuyu. Ama waseme kama Murgele, inaashiria pia kwa Wakikuyu. So mtu anapotamka hilo neno anajua ya kwamba anaashiria Wakikuyu.
Mimi mwenyewe hata vile niko hivi, nilikuja nikakaa, nimepitia mengi. Mpaka wakati huo tulikuja tukanyakua manyumba, tukakaa tunaishi manyumba za watu, tumechificha. Mimi kazi yangu ilikuwa ni kuharibu. Tulikuwa hata hiyo 207 sisi ndio wale tulinyakua manyumba za watu, ambapo ukipata mtu yote, yani tunatafuta kai maneno ya hii election, sisi ndio wale tulikuwa tunataka isiwe tu election ya amani, ya kuharibike, ili tupole.
Wakati huo tulikuwa group, kwa hivyo tulijidefend na wenzetu, kama ni kupigana tukapigana. Kawaida ya election ya Kenya watu hurudi kwa makabila zao, lakini kwa sasa ni mbaya sana, kwa sababu hata hizo makabila zenyewe zimegawanyika. Kwa hivyo hiyo misemo bado iko.
Kwa saa hii ndiyo kuna tension kwa saa hii, lakini si kama ya the year 2007 and 8.
I met with this gang of men, and they were carrying all sorts of weapons in their hands. And then one of them greeted me, a barrier black beauty. Then I was really scared, and I thought that nilikuwa nimejibu. Then unfortunately I had not answered because I was not even able to get the words out of my mouth because I was really scared. Then they greeted me in a language that I didn't understand, and I was not able to answer back. And they were speaking among themselves. Then boom, I felt a very sharp pain on the back of my head, and I just passed out.
Those stories that we have never dealt with, they still reign among people's mind. We as a country, I would say we have never seriously faced that conversation and to address them. And I can tell you, even when you go to the ground and you talk to people, they will tell you, we have never reconciled. The issues that make us fight are still there. So narratives exist, they are there, they are strong. The moment you talk to them, they will tell you what they hold deep within themselves, and they are always ready, if triggered, to resort into violence.
What is the pledge of the NCIC to Kenyans in 2022 in terms of dealing with hateful narratives and the tongues of war?
You see, we have put a really great emphasis on dangers of hate speech. We are going very soon to unveil a national program against hate speech as a way of educating Kenyans, whether we call it civic education or public education, or voter education, etc. We want Kenyans to reach a point where they say, well, unless we check our language, and especially at the level of leadership, we run the danger of repeating the problems we had in 2007, 2008. If under any circumstances that there will be disputes, there will be complaints and all that, we have the channels for doing that. And we are very encouraged by the way that the judiciary has also prepared themselves to deal with any complaints in the fastest possible way. And for us, by working with the DCI, the DPP, the judiciary, the IEBC, EACC, and the Registrar of Political Parties, and of course the Communications Authority, will be able, I think, to deliver the elections that Kenyans will be proud to have participated in.
It is therefore clear that for as long as we have land narratives, a narrative where we belong to this land and other people don't, for as long as we have zoning of places and this is this party zone and this is that other party zone, for as long as we still believe in tribal supremacy and ask the questions of whether so and so has done a certain ritual, for as long as we as a country do not have trust in our institutions and our politicians keep telling us that it may be what the election has been stolen, for as long as there's an us versus them narrative, then I guarantee you the tongues of war are still active in our country.